Welcome to the ZimmCast, a program dedicated to bringing you what's new in agricultural marketing. The ZimmCast is the official podcast of AgWired and hosted by Chuck and Cindy Zimmerman.
Hello and welcome to the ZimmCast. I'm Chuck Zimmerman. The first day of spring started the day after the annual Agri-Pulse Ag and Food Summit and National Ag Day activities. We've published virtual newsrooms on our Ag Newswire website and story posts on AgWired. So in this episode, I'd like to share a few of the interviews and audio from the events, and I'll start out with Agri-Pulse. You can listen to the opening remarks from Ireland's ambassador to the United States, Geraldine, Byrne, Nason. And next will be Jim Sutter, CEO of U.S. Soybeans Export Council, and then Jane Franch, Senior Director, Climate Impact of Pivot Bio.
Thank you very much indeed, Sarah. Good morning, everyone. Genevieve. I can't think of a better way to begin St. Patrick's Day than here at an Agri-Pulse Agri-Food Summit. So it's a real pleasure to be with you. Lo Éla Póra Conadíobh Galéir, that's Happy St. Patrick's Day in our own precious Irish language. And I'm deeply grateful, Gur Míle Maithagah, for all of you who wore the green today, which I take as a reflection of your friendship as we celebrate Ireland's national holiday. I'm really here in a week that's like no other. I've just had a week like no other with our Taoiseach visiting Washington. But of course, as we celebrate St. Patrick's, we're also reminded that the story of Irish and American agriculture is also entwined. We talk about our people-to-people relationship being entwined, but of course our prosperity, our security, and the way in which our economies grow are also deeply entwined. And as our own history in Ireland suggests, the story of agriculture here also, I think, is one of, in our relationship, one of resilience and adaptation. So, I think of it in terms of the small family farms in my own county, County Louth in Ireland, which is also the smallest county in Ireland, to the vast fields of Kansas here in the great United States. Both nations have built, in their own distinctive ways, agricultural sectors that are both deeply rooted in tradition, but constantly remaking themselves ready for next steps in terms of innovation. And certainly in Ireland, and I know from my experience here in the United States, agriculture has long been at the very heart of our society, as well as our economies and our prosperity. We have been shaping our rural communities, driving resourcefulness and fostering economic growth. And today I'm happy to report that the state of our union in agricultural relationships is stronger than ever. Bilateral trade in food and farm products that benefit farmers, ranchers and consumers at the highest level ever right across the Atlantic. So on both sides of the Atlantic, our industries and our peoples are enjoying record levels of success. As I said, it's been a big week here in Washington, D.C. I'm literally fresh from the Oval Office with the Taoiseach. And if you saw any of this covered by the media, you will see that the highlight of the day that we spend really in the presence of the President of the United States is what we call the Shamrock Ceremony, which usually happens in late afternoon. And the shamrock, the bowl of shamrock, which the Taoiseach himself presented to the President of the United States, was grown on a small family farm in Kerry, County Kerry, also known, in case we have any Irish people here, as the Kingdom of Kerry. Today and throughout the month of March, all around the country, we're coming together as Irish Americans. We count ourselves as 32 million Irish Americans, so you're slightly short on the numbers here this morning, but I'm grateful for those of you who identified as Irish. Indeed, I will, in parenthesis, say to you on St. Patrick's Day, there are only two kinds of people in a room. It's those who are Irish and those who wish they were Irish. But throughout this month, we have had an opportunity to celebrate our heritage and the enduring bonds, the political bonds The United States, first country in the world to represent Ireland, or to recognise Ireland as an independent state, the country which helped to bring peace to the island. So an enduring, deep bond of friendship and an economic and thriving relationship. It's a time now, we find in March, where we shine a light on our shared history, culture and our friendship. And just to set that in context for you, over the last week, 9 Irish government ministers, our cabinet has 15 ministers, so you can see 9 Irish government ministers have been here in the United States, leading official St. Patrick's Day programmes across 15 to 20 states of the United States. They, in those programmes, they've had a unique opportunity, of course, to talk to the economic actors, many of them representing agriculture in the states they have visited. We've also, of course, developed our political links throughout this month. And later today, I will be leaving to go to New York City, where this morning, or coming up to noon, over 150,000 people will march on Fifth Avenue, watched by 2.5 million people. I put that in relief to tell you that we are deeply grateful for the ongoing friendship and recognition of our special relationship with the United States. Of course, in addition to growing those people-to-people and cultural heritage ties, I wanted to just note that we have a significant and mutually beneficial economic relationship. In 2023, that economic relationship between Ireland and the United States was valued at $1 trillion. According to US government statistics, Ireland is now the 6th largest source of foreign direct investment into the United States. This morning, more than 200,000 Americans got up and went to jobs in all 50 states, funded by Irish investors. There are 770 Irish companies operating here in the United States. So for a country of 5 million, I think you can see the outsized nature of our two-way relationship here with the great United States. And food and agriculture plays a key role, of course, in this considerable investment, with stellar Irish companies like the Kerry Group operating with more than 40 manufacturing plants in the US, employing over 5,000 people, including in their regional technology and innovation centre in the Midwest. Or NUA, another company many of you will be familiar with, a significant investor here, particularly in Wisconsin. That's in direct employment terms, investment in processing plants, and the purchase of almost $250 million worth of dairy products each year. The US is Ireland's second largest market for agri-food exports. Just last year, bilateral agricultural food trade was valued at $2.7 billion for exports. That was a record high. Sorry, I should say that's $2.7 billion for exports and imports from the United States. So a record high for us. And while Ireland exports products like butter and spirits well known into the United States, the imports into Ireland of animal feed and barrels from your own bourbon production highlights in many ways the circular nature of the interconnectedness of both our production and our trade. So an extremely integrated, mutually beneficial way in which we work together. Truth is, agriculture remains a pillar of both our economies, supporting rural communities and ensuring opportunities, and I will underline the importance of this, for our future generations and for future generations of farmers, ranchers, educators, producers, and the millions of Americans and Irish who call the countryside home. Your own new Secretary of State for Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, summed it up very well, I thought, as she said, America's rural towns have and always will be the beating heart of our nation. But I guess on a day like today, even as we shine a light on our success, we have to remember also that there are challenges to the farming community, both here in the United States and in Ireland, and we face, I would say, both significant and shared challenges. The average age of farmers in both our countries continues to rise, creating in our case, certainly an urgent need for succession planning to ensure that family farms remain viable for future generations. Access to land, to farming land, is also a critical issue for young farmers in both our nations, who often struggle with high costs and limited availability. And responding to those challenges alongside what we've seen even in the last few days, severe weather events, higher input costs and potential barriers to trade, are all key challenges that we are seeing, I know, here in the United States, but also back on that beautiful green island of Ireland. As we look ahead, in our view, we need to invest in policies that support smooth farm transitions, that will empower our young farmers and ranchers, and of course, importantly, make land accessible to the next generation of producers. For our part, Ireland remains committed to the principles of free trade, which have underpinned our economic success. We believe that free trade brings economic opportunities, creates well-paid jobs, fosters innovation and builds economic resilience. And that's all done, as we see it, best with certainty and a degree of forward planning within the framework of a rules-based international trading system. And we will continue to work with our colleagues, certainly at the European level, and with the government here in the United States to advocate for fair and free trade for our agricultural communities. To borrow the words of President Ronald Reagan, whom I had in parentheses again, the honour to welcome to Ireland when he came in 1984. I am that old that I was already a young diplomat then, but I go back to his President Reagan's words, and I quote him: "The freer the flow of world trade, the stronger the tides for economic progress and peace among nations." So, ladies and gentlemen, the Irish food and drink industry continues to bring world-class products to American consumers, from premium dairy and grass-fed beef to some of the world's finest spirits and Irish cream liqueurs. Every year, over 1 million Americans visit Ireland, immersing themselves in our culture, our beautiful landscapes, maybe challenging their game on our spectacular golf courses. And of course, President Trump has a golf course, Doonbeg, so I'm making sure everybody knows the west coast of Ireland. County Clare is a must-stop see when you're in Ireland. And all of this helps to forge the long-lasting, lifelong links between Irish and American family and friends. I'm told that those who go to Ireland may occasionally also drop into the odd Irish pub and taste those fine Irish spirits and beer. And I would encourage you all, when you're in Ireland, those of you who travel, to enjoy the excellent, wholesome Irish pub cuisine, usually sourced from local ingredients and cooked locally. I know that some of you, and Sarah mentioned she'll be one of them, will be visiting Dublin in August for the Aer Lingus College Football Classic. That's the famous Farmageddon, the rivalry between Iowa State. There we have one fan, anyway, I don't know who yours is. Between Iowa State and Kansas State, and we very much look forward to welcoming as many of you as possible to that. And I really hope that when you come for the game, which of course will be wonderful, Dublin turns itself right into that game, that you'll take time to explore the beautiful countryside in Ireland and everything we have to offer also. So to all of you today, the farmers, the ranchers, food producers, policymakers, who help to make this relationship thrive. May we continue to grow together, work together, trade together, and build a future that honours the agricultural legacies of both our nations. In my own, again, precious Irish language, we have a saying that is Ní neart go cur le géile. We're stronger together. Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen.
At the Agri-Pulse Ag and Food Policy Summit, I'm visiting with Jim Sutter. And first of all, Jim, tell me what you do.
I'm the CEO of the U.S. Soybean Export Council. We represent U.S. soy farmers and the U.S. soy industry in markets all around the world.
With the Soybean Export Council, what are your thoughts and what's going on with the new administration in terms of policies, and how does that affect what you guys are doing?
Well, certainly given us plenty to talk about, and people all around the world are watching and asking questions. But generally, I think the idea of having fair and free trade with the parties that we export products to and that, of course, we import into the U.S. from is a great concept. And for years, we've been saying, some more free trade agreements would be a good thing for the United States, and we haven't had many in recent years. And I think the stage that's being set with the reciprocal tariffs, we're looking at those as a whole bunch of small free trade agreements that can come about. So I think I think things look pretty good.
What brought you to the event today?
Well, actually, I was invited to participate on a panel today, so I am honored to do that. And also, I just think that there's obviously a lot to talk about these days. And it looked like they had a great lineup of speakers on a lot of interesting topics, AI and different ways that food is being produced these days. So I think it's a very topical session. Look forward to learning.
Have you been to the summit before?
Not in recent years. Not in recent years.
How about subscribing to Agri-Pulse?
Yes, absolutely. I subscribe to Agri-Pulse, and I have a little empathy for the people at Agri-Pulse because it seems like they've been very, very busy lately. So they must be having a lot of things to keep up with. But no, I rely on Agri-Pulse as a source of information and look forward to reading it regularly.
Is there any particular service they offer with news, like the emails and stuff like that? Is there something that's your favorite?
Well, I like several parts of it. The morning session that I think Jeff Nally does, the drive time at the end of the day I like, the open mic sessions I like, of course the emails that come out, they're, especially when there's a hot topic that something's just come up, I rely on Agri-Pulse for information. So they all have their value.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jim, for visiting with me here at the Agri-Pulse Ag and Food Policy Summit. I'm Chuck Zimmerman. At the Agri-Pulse Ag and Food Policy Summit, I'm visiting with Jane Franch with Pivot Bio. Tell me a little bit, what did you do for the company?
Great. Thank you so much, Chuck. Again, Jane Franch with Pivot Bio, and I'm the Senior Director of Climate Impact at Pivot. I work closely with our government relations teams, with our internal communications teams, with our investors, and throughout the company to really quantify the impact of the product that we bring to market and the impact of the growers using that product and reducing their synthetic nitrogen. And so when we can quantify this, it fits really nicely into government policy like the 45Z tax credit, like the Climate Smart Ag rules. So how do we meet that interface and bring those two things together?
So you were on a panel here at the summit. Tell me a little about the subject and the kind of questions you were getting there.
Yeah, so we were here today to talk about the 45Z biofuels tax policy. And I think connected to that is a USDA interim rule called the Climate Smart Agriculture Interim Rule. So really those two things together, because of course this is an agriculture summit. And so, why is this important? Well, what's really exciting about 45Z and the bringing along of a climate smart rule along with that 45Z is that for the first time, it's opening the opportunity for the feedstock producers, so the corn and soy farmers, sorghum, and hopefully other grains in the future, to participate in the benefits of the biofuel economy, right? To participate in the benefits of bringing a lower carbon intensity fuel into the future. And it does this by providing mechanisms to quantify and provide compensation pathways for farmers to actually get paid for the conservation practices they're doing on their farms. Things like cover cropping, no-till, reduced nitrogen application, while increasing productivity, right? When we can incentivize those things through this tax structure, it gives farmers an opportunity to participate in that future economy and also to meet their own goals around conservation, productivity, and new revenue opportunities, while supporting the larger policy goals of the federal government.
So besides farmers that are involved, how important is this for a company like Pivot Bio?
I'd say for a company like Pivot Bio, this is a really exciting opportunity to also signal to American innovators, who are working on behalf of American farmers. We are the only proven biological nitrogen source built by and for American farmers, right? And so for us, this is a great opportunity to signal to innovators that, hey, there's a place here for you to bring these tools forward for farmers. And not only will you be bringing forward the value of our products, we really do believe the value of our product is that that nitrogen product that we are bringing to them that performs on the farm, that performs day in and day out and stays put for them and is safer to use and cleaner for air and water. So not only is there the value of that product, but now there's an additional value that's coming with that. And farmers can kind of meet their goals together, reducing those inputs and kind of moving forward with this new technology. So we think it's incredibly exciting. We think if this policy can be put forward as a tech-neutral policy, so really focused on the outcomes, for example, focusing on nitrogen rate, it really opens the door for all kinds of American innovation. So products like ours, the advancements that are coming forward with precision application technologies, and really just so many more that kind of supports and nurtures the innovation environment that's growing quite rapidly around American farmers and American agriculture to support and nurture this important revenue stream for our whole economy.
Well, let's turn over to Agri-Pulse for a moment. I understand that you are able to get some of the material that they put out, and heard you say it's valuable information.
Yeah, definitely. Agri-Pulse is one of my daily reads. I get the daily news bulletin that comes out, and I'm often clicking through those links to get myself up to speed on what's happening today. I also love the Newsmakers edition that comes out every Friday. I watch that religiously. One of the things that I love about it is that Agri-Pulse is really bringing together perspectives from across the aisle and from all points of view, and I find that kind of balanced approach really, really helpful and encouraging, and I just, support what Agri-Pulse is doing and look forward to continuing to tap into that in the future.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jane, for visiting with me here at the Agri-Pulse Ag and Food Policy Summit. I'm Chuck Zimmerman. I'll move to the National Ag Day activities with a student panel discussion. The students are Taylor Rogers from National Grange, Lance Williams, AFA advisor, Carolyn Groth, FFA Eastern Region Vice President, and Matias Habib, National 4-H. And the moderator is Miles Chiotti with John Deere.
Thanks, Marty. Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Miles Chiotti. I lead PR and industry relations for John Deere and have the honor of participating in the Ag Day committee this year. And I'm really excited. As Marty mentioned, we've got a great crew of young leaders in agriculture. Maybe I'll ask now for the panelists to start making their way up, and we can kind of sit and have a good conversation. Love to introduce you all, and then hear more about the future of agriculture, because it's bright.
Well, this morning, again, I'm really excited to have a great crew here from 4-H, AFA, the National Grange, and FFA. Maybe I'll start here, Taylor, with each of you going down the line here and introducing yourselves, telling a little bit about your background and why you got involved with the organizations you're in.
Hi, I'm Taylor Rogers. I am the National Youth Ambassador with the National Grange. I am from North Carolina, and I currently attend Western Carolina University, and I'm majoring in elementary education with a minor in leadership. And I got into the Grange actually through FFA. My advisor was a Granger, a national ambassador like myself, and she inspired me to come to camp and be able to continue growing leaders through the National Grange.
And my name is Lance Williams. I'm a second-year student at NC State University, Go Pack, studying agricultural science, and I am currently serving as an advisory team member for AFA, which is Agriculture Future of America, and we have a great ambassador program where students come to the campuses and teach us all about what AFA is, and that's how I learned about AFA.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Caroline Groth. I'm originally from Lexington, Kentucky, currently serving as the National FFA Eastern Region Vice President. For national office, we kind of get to take a gap year, but before this gap year, I was a sophomore at the University of Kentucky, double majoring in agriculture education and agriculture economics. And my journey into the agriculture industry and FFA is a little unique. Lexington is a pretty urban area, but my dad grew up showing sheep, and him and my mom's dream was for us to one day also show lambs. So I actually met my future FFA advisor showing sheep at the county fair, and it's been history since then, but that's how I got plugged in with FFA.
Hi, my name is Matias Habib. I am in University of Illinois studying Is it not functioning? Oh, there we go. Okay, hello, my name is Matias Habib. I'm from Illinois in a small town called Sandwich. I'm currently studying nuclear, plasma, and radiological engineering at the University of Illinois. I'm with National 4-H. I've been in 4-H since I was 12 years old, and I first started to learn more about agriculture and how that can relate to science.
Excellent. One of the things I love is all of you have very different backgrounds and interests that brought you into agriculture, and I think that's something I'd love to explore a little bit more here in the panel. But just to kick it off here, so this year, our theme is this concept of together we grow, and so that concept of together we grow, it implies things like collaboration, right, and shared effort. Maybe to start, and Taylor, maybe for this first one, I'll start with you. In your experience, what are some of the most effective ways all of the various stakeholders in agriculture, and maybe just name a few, farmers and ranchers certainly, but consumers, agribusiness, researchers, and policymakers, how can they, and we, I should say, how can we all work together to address the various challenges that we know face agriculture?
So I think it's right there in the name itself. Together we grow, because without being together as a united front to fight for what we need in agriculture, we really can't get anything done. Being able to communicate with each other with a nonpartisan look also would be a great way. I know in the Grange, that's a big part of our brand, is that we're together not by our political affiliations, but by our beliefs in agriculture and what we want for the future. So being able to come together so we can grow to build that future.
I'll just jump on kind of what Taylor said. She talked about the importance of communication, and I think that's key. A wise mentor once told me that unspoken expectation leads to resentment. And I think that's true in relationships. I think that's true in this agriculture industry family, that when we face these issues and these challenges, it's transparent communication and voicing those expectations that's going to be what leads us forward. And I know our national officer team, we just went through this whole big team dynamics training, and the root of it all is having a foundation of trust and communication. And I think that's something that us as agriculture people, we build our relationships on that trust and that sense of communication.
I think these have been great answers and an amazing panel. I'd just like to highlight that from this communication, we should really be understanding. Not only do we need a communication between stakeholders, researchers, and farmers, but we need an understanding of why this is happening and why we are funding these researchers, why this technology is important, and why farmers should be implementing these. And I think that's crucial, as long as, of course, communication as to how we can grow together.
Yeah, certainly you talked about stakeholders and educating people that they are stakeholders in agriculture. Even though I go to a land-grant university, the amount of people who have no idea what agriculture is shocking. And a lot of times they just say, those farmer kids. But really, we are leading in agriculture, and it is our job to also educate about agriculture, to let people know that food security is national security for them, and that food really encompasses everything in life.
I think that's a great segue into the next question. So, I think a lot of people maybe who didn't grow up around or as part of agriculture, when they're asked initially, what sort of a job do you see in agriculture, they may only think of farming and ranching, right? Which is certainly critical and important, and we need more people doing that. But we all know there's a lot more opportunities, career opportunities in agriculture that are needed, that are very important, that aren't necessarily actively farming and ranching. I'm just kind of curious, when all four of you think about your peer groups, what sort of skills and job opportunities are they interested in? Are they excited about that we can do a better job in agriculture, making sure they're aware of that those are opportunities for them to come be part of the agriculture sector? Maybe Lance, I'll start with you.
Yes, certainly, of course, with the younger generation, technology is going to be a huge component of that. We see at these land-grant universities that the engineering schools are often the ones that are growing at the fastest rate, and really creating a connection between agriculture and technology is going to be huge moving forward.
I totally agree with you, Lance. And the National FFA organization currently has over 1 million members. So when you think about all of those members and the careers that they're going to go to, I mean, options are endless. But on the technology front, I think that's totally right. And I think as a youth in ag, sometimes we get blinders on that, oh, we're going to be farmers and ranchers. But what's so cool is in this technological era, I mean, the career opportunities are endless. I had the opportunity to attend the Commodity Classic about 2 weeks ago, visit the John Deere booth, learn about the fully autonomous tractors, and you need just more than a farmer to create a tractor like that. You need engineers, you need AI, you need all of these things. And so hopefully our 1 million FFA members are going to fill those careers.
Sounds like someone might have a career in marketing.
Well, as 4-H being the largest youth program with 6 million members, and 4-H has really been pushing to go more into urban areas so we can have more connection and filling the gap between rural and urban areas so we can have more connection and more interest in agriculture as well, since many of these urban youth don't have the proper connection or education about agriculture. And if we can expand more into that, as 4-H has been trying very hard to do, we can have more people interested in ag and more connections between science and agriculture.
Yeah, so I was more thinking instead of interest in agriculture itself, agricultural communications is a big interest of mine, because without agricultural communications, we don't have the education on what agriculture is, what policies are being passed through right now, what's going on with the farm bill that we're trying to get passed. So agricultural communications harnesses all those skills of creativity, technology, being able just to communicate with each other, because I don't work for Willy Wonka, so I'm not going to sugarcoat this. We don't know how to talk to each other anymore. It's very hard for people to be able to communicate with each other. So I think having more people in agricultural communications would be a big step into be able to educate and bring everyone together on our stances for getting things passed that we need to.
Well, again, I think just a great discussion that just here in a few minutes showed how many different opportunities are there in agriculture, roles and functions that we need to be part of the Big Ten of agriculture, right? And it's exciting to see how we can take that. Let's maybe take a step back for a second. I know some of you alluded to this in your introductions, but maybe a little bit more of a personal conversation. I'd love to hear more about each of your personal journeys into agriculture, into the organizations you're part of, and maybe how that relates into, again, this theme of Together We Grow this week. Carolyn, you want to start?
I would love to kick off this one. As I kind of alluded to earlier, from Lexington, super urban. And so about 90% of the students that were a part of my FFA chapter did not come from a production ag background. So getting to live on a farm through middle school and high school, I had the unique opportunity to kind of be a teacher for my peers, because I had gotten this hands-on agriculture experience, and I got to share that with my classmates. And that gave me this passion for sharing and advocating for the agriculture industry, which I think is what led me to want to jump into some leadership roles within FFA. I got the FFA bug my freshman year and did the Creed speaking contest and junior parley, and then just kind of continued that all through my high school career and into college now. And I'm fortunate to be surrounded by a community. And I think Together We Grow, to me, truly means the community that's backing you. One of my favorite quotes comes from Theodore Roosevelt, and it's, "Believe you can, and you're halfway there." But as I've grown up and gone through my leadership journey, I've learned that there's something that comes before believing in yourself, and that's being surrounded by people who believe in you. And the agriculture community are those people for me. I have what I like to call my board of directors. So it's ag teachers and my parents and my pastor, all of these people who are constantly pouring into me. And they're my people who help me grow. And I would encourage all the people in the room today and FFA members to find those people that help them grow.
With that, in the fact that my community has definitely inspired me to really do things that I would not have done otherwise. My family has grown orchards. I'd never had livestock, but even talking to my peers, my community, especially in 4-H, I've been able to see the interest that they have in livestock and how they're so meaningfully attached to that. And from that, you can share values, even though I've never grown livestock or raised livestock. You can see how important that is to them and in general. And really through that community and how it's helped me as well expand from entomology when I had known nothing before, you can really see how valuable that is and how we can truly grow together.
I certainly am grateful for my experiences within 4-H. I was a member since I was 7 years old, and that was really impactful. But funnily enough, I never did any of the agriculture programs in 4-H. But just having the exposure of going up to my local extension office and being around people who wanted to support me and see me grow was very impactful moving forward, and certainly is what pushed me to go into an agricultural career. And then moving forward, I really hope that we see more people who are just a little bit exposed to agriculture. You don't have to be 100% in on it or go into an ag career to be a supporter. So I think it's great that we have two people on this stage who aren't ag majors, but who are still advocates for the community.
Yeah, so I would say coming through FFA into the Grange was a big part of my building as a person and as a leader. At my local FFA chapter, I was president, did all that stuff, regional office. But I was really sad that after high school, it was all over. Like, I could go into the agricultural education route, become an advisor. I could work for FFA or do different things like that. But I was really sad that it was over after that. So my advisor, who I mentioned before, was a Granger, introduced me to the Grange, got me to come to camp that we have in North Carolina. And I just really found truly my best friends in the whole world. And I think when it comes to being a leader in agriculture, having the people that are the closest to you beside you to push you forward is a big help to be able to realizing your full potential. I don't think I would ever be here on this stage if it weren't for the Grange and what it has taught me about myself and how to speak to others. So yeah, I'm very grateful for the Grange and the FFA and all the leaders that have boosted me up and gotten me to where I'm at today.
Well, this has been a great discussion. Maybe I'll close this out with one last question I'd love to ask each of you. Maybe Matias, I'll start with you. When you look at the future of agriculture, where we're at today and where we're going, what do you see as the greatest challenge that we need to address in the future of agriculture? And what do you see as the greatest opportunity that we have?
Well, as we discussed before, I really think we need to focus more on that communication and understanding. And as well, looking forward, we need to think about not only problems we have now, but problems we will have in the future and figure out how we can solve that. For example, as globalization continues, we can expect more invasive species to appear. And we have to be prepared to solve those problems, increasing, for example, integrated pest management to have solutions ready for when we have new pests appear and new threats that can affect our agriculture.
I think our greatest challenge leads to our greatest opportunity. I would totally agree that it's that aspect of communication and telling our story. And we were talking about careers in ag and about how many people think that it's just farming and ranching, but us as agriculturalists, we have the opportunity to tell that story, that it's so much more. And I think that's our opportunity getting to serve as a national officer this year, I like to consider my role as being a story keeper, because I get to travel across the United States and get all of this wisdom from all of these people and hear their stories. But then it's my job to go and tell those stories. And I think it's not just an FFA national officer's job. That's all of our jobs. And that's our opportunity, is as we travel and we go to work and we go to the grocery store or on an airplane, it's our responsibility and our opportunity to get to tell the ag story.
Certainly going off what the other two have said, we need to shift from an us versus them mentality to a us and them mentality. And there's a lot of meeting in the middle we need to do within agriculture, because we can't just not like other people for not understanding agriculture. It's our job to educate them on what agriculture is and clear up some of the miscommunications. But then on our side, we also need to step up and start working on that as well. Certainly within AFA, we're working on those soft skills with college students to prepare us to be leaders within agriculture. So moving forward, we're going to get off the farm and into places like Washington, D.C., where we're going to advocate and meet in the middle with people.
Yeah, and to have one more person in support of everyone. I totally agree. It's the understanding and be able to, like I said before, talk to each other, being able to come together and push things that we need forward, and more of a respect for each other and each other's opinions. We can have different opinions, but it's the respect that you have for others' opinions as well. Because I think we do a lot of, well, my opinion's right and your opinion's wrong, and this is why I'm right and this is why you're wrong. And I think we just need to do a lot more open-mindedness, because I feel that there are people that are very closed-minded just because that's how they were raised. But we just need to do a better job about educating the next generation, because unfortunately, we are the next people to be leaders and grow as a community in agriculture. So we have to be able to respect our opinions while also respecting others to push us forward into the future.
Well, if you all weren't already excited about the future of agriculture, I sure hope you are now. So let's thank our panelists for a great discussion.
It's Cindy's time to be in Washington, D.C. this week for the ACE Fly-In. After the next event coming up soon is the 2025 Agri-Marketing Conference. If you haven't registered, you can still do so, and I'll see you there. If you have any ideas for a future ZimmCast podcast, just let me know. That's the ZimmCast for now. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for listening.
You've been listening to the ZimmCast, the official podcast of AgWired. Check us out at www.agwired.com to find out what's new in agricultural marketing.